Hello everyone and welcome to today's episode of Random Ramblings. Today is a special episode. It is less of a review and more of me talking about a character in a TV series that I've watched and I personally like, majority of, and that is a TV series many of you may have heard of or at least watched. I'm talking, of course, about Seinfeld, the show where unlikable characters somehow become likable. Cheap people who bludge off their friends somehow are not called cheap, and a compulsive liar who gets out of work any way he can finally finds the strength and self-efficiency to finally work hard at a job where no one else makes any effort. The characters of Seinfeld initially started out as semi-decent people in their late 30s. You have Jerry, the comedian, with his successful comedy career, his ex-girlfriend, now friend Elaine Bennis, working at Pendant Publishing, who is merely platonic friends with Jerry and struggles to find relationships. The hipster doofus, Elaine's words, for Jerry's skulking yet somehow not creepy friend Kramer, who constantly bludges off Jerry in regards to food and other things, and comes up with crazy get-rich-quick schemes and the like. And then, of course, there is George, my personal favourite character on the show, who initially started out as a real estate agent, but then haphazardly went from one job to another, constantly being fired, and constantly has a string of bad luck with both the ladies and employment. However, towards the end of the series, he manages to find steady employment at a company called Kruger, where the employees are very lazy, thus forcing George to actually take the initiative for once and work hard and actually be a competent employee. George is also well known for his elaborate and convoluted lies to get out of relationships and work. The characters of Seinfeld, although likable at first, gradually shifted towards their more negative traits. Jerry becoming obsessed with cleanliness and perfection. George being known for his lies and trickery. Elaine, her temper as well as her acid tongue, which she would become increasingly known for as the series progressed. Kramer's eccentric behavior, and Newman, who is perhaps the one character in Seinfeld to remain consistent. According to Jerry, Newman is nothing short of pure evil. Newman, of course, is Jerry's postman neighbor who seems to despise Jerry for some reason, and Jerry despises him right back. The reason for their animosity, however, is never quite known, and thus has remained a mystery throughout the entire series. Newman, however, seems to be on good terms with Kramer and seems to tolerate George and has unrequited feelings for Elaine. In addition to the main characters, every other character in Seinfeld, even the children, are portrayed as either obnoxious, overbearing, or rude. In this context, Seinfeld has done a great job in making us love seemingly unlikable characters. For all their faults, we still root for them. However, I would like to take a less pessimistic and cynical look at these characters and talk about the one decent character on the show, a character who is earnest, seemingly kind-hearted, and only wants what is best for his unrequited love. I'm referring, of course, to Ricky, the eccentric and somewhat perhaps creepy guy Elaine meets on the subway and becomes infatuated with Elaine upon seeing her TV guide and becomes determined to reunite with her at any cost. Ricky is first seen in the episode The Cigar-Smoking Indian, where Elaine and Jerry are initially trapped on the subway. Jerry, upon trying to obtain some food from the subway station, gets locked out of the train, thus leaving Elaine to continue on alone. Elaine is on her way to a wedding hosted by a friend of hers who is getting married to another woman. As Elaine puts it, she is on her way to a lesbian wedding. She at first is harassed by another woman whom she is sitting next to, who is disgusted by the notion that Elaine is attending such a wedding, as the woman in question had not spoken to anyone on the subway in years, so she promptly leaves. After Jerry is kicked off the subway, Elaine is left with no one to talk to, until a man sitting across from her inquires as to whether Jerry is her boyfriend, stating that Jerry, will have to catch the next train. Elaine quickly replies that Jerry is not her boyfriend. The man simply says, "Interesting," thus opening the door for potential conversation, much to Elaine's chagrin. The man, Ricky, later identified in the credits and via WikiSign, which is where I found his name and conducted research prior to uploading this video, proceeds to talk to Elaine about what is in the TV guide. The TV guide in question belongs to George's father, who is obsessed with TV guides and makes a habit of collecting them. George's father is Frank Costanza. Ricky proceeds to tell Elaine what she could have watched that week, such as I Love Lucy, The Lucy Show, and so forth. Elaine, desperate to try to escape Ricky's company, flees the subway, leaving the TV guide behind. Ricky calls out to her, but to no avail, as Elaine, by this point, has already left the subway. To his credit, Ricky tracks down Elaine using the address on the TV guide, thus making it back to the Costanza's house. Unfortunately, by this time, chaos has ensued, as George is grounded by his parents. Yes, that's right. George, a grown man, is living with his parents and is punished for having sex in his parents' bed, as his parents have discovered a prophylactic wrapper, specifically his mother, Estelle Costanza, much to her shock and hysteria, and much to George's embarrassment. The family argument, which is common among the Costanzas, is interrupted by Ricky knocking at the door. He inquires as to Elaine's whereabouts. Elaine, who is not there at the time, and is informed of this by a furious Frank, who is enraged that Elaine stole his TV guide, which caused all this mess in the first place, as George tries to feverishly shift responsibility from himself to someone else, as usual. Unfortunately, it does not work. In addition to this, Frank calms down, however, when he sees Ricky's interest in the numerous TV guides strewn about the room, and the two proceed to sit down together and watch TV. Then Elaine suddenly does appear at the house, having recovered another TV guide from Jerry's girlfriend, Winona. But that is a subplot for another day. The reason Elaine had to get the TV guide replaced was because she thought she lost it on the subway, but is promptly informed by Ricky that he found Elaine's address and he had the TV guide. Unfortunately for Elaine, Ricky had converted said TV guide into a bouquet just for her, much to Elaine's shock and Frank's fury, as his precious TV guide is now ruined, and that the replacement that Elaine had given him is not suitable, as it has sauce on it, as Elaine had been eating food while holding the TV guide on the subway. A furious Frank orders Elaine out of the house. Ricky springs to her defense, saying that Frank has no right to speak to Elaine in such a manner. Frank then orders Ricky out too. Ricky tells Elaine to come with him, but Elaine refuses, and she departs the house without him. Ricky does not appear again in that episode, but it is shown that his dedication to Elaine, or rather perhaps his infatuation, cannot be understated, and that he went all the way across town just to find her, using nothing more than an address on a TV guide, and that his behavior may of course at first seem creepy, but to him is less so, and he comes across more of more as being lonely and just wants a friend to talk to. Ricky then appears again in another episode many seasons later entitled The Pie, where it is revealed that he was the one who manufactured numerous mannequins in the likeness of Elaine. These mannequins appear to have been doing very well and making lots of money for various stores across New York. Ricky is informed of their success by a supervisor, the mannequins being known as 346. I may have gotten that number wrong. Apologies. Of their success. Ricky disputes this, stating that he doesn't think of them as numbers, and he instead prefers to think of the mannequins as Elaine. Well, that was the story of Ricky, perhaps the most decent and earnest character in Seinfeld. Please let me know what you think, if you would like me to cover other characters on Seinfeld or other TV shows. I apologize for not coming up with a snappy name for this segment. It was just something that popped into my head and I thought I'd cover, as I've been watching quite a lot of Seinfeld lately, and have noticed in the initial seasons the characters were likable, but gradually devolved into the characters we all love to hate. So it's nice to see characters who are just earnest and are just kind in their own messed up way. I hope you enjoyed. Please let me know what you think by leaving a comment down below. Hit the thumbs up button if you like the content, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. And to my existing subscribers, thank you for watching. To all of you. Well, that's all we have for today. Thank you for watching. I've been your host, Daniel. Have a great day. Be cool. Stay cool. See you next time.